Folks, thank you for inviting me to speak on the future of jobs. I do know that everybody is discussing about the future, especially when we are in the era of the digital revolution. 20 years ago, the internet came into being, and in the COVID times, we've seen an enormous number of people go onto the web to connect with each other. And industry and business is spending large amounts of money on digitization, automation, and reaching out to consumers through the digital world. In the digital world, people will interact with each other synchronously, asynchronously. They will get all the goods and services delivered by them electronically with physical delivery. They will do business on the internet. They will get their education on the internet digitally. They will get their health services. Of course, you have to visit hospital if you fall really sick and get all those tubes into your body. And they'll also get entertainment, banking, and everything else. And this is a disruption that's happening after maybe 250 years. The large, big disruption that happened was the Industrial Revolution and the coming of the age of machines, which created the world we live in right now, which is changing very fast. In that world, the Industrial Revolution created the global supply chain of goods and services. Now, the global supply chain is also changing. What we're seeing is the emergence of a digital platform where consumers will interact. Out of 7.8 billion people on the planet, 5.5 billion people have a mobile connection, 5 billion people are on the internet, and this is creating change. Almost everybody who is a decent consumer is on the internet or will be in the internet in the next 2 years. And in that scenario, how will life change for us? How will industry change for us? And finally, how will jobs change for us? Let me explain what could be happening by 2030. Of course, 2030 is 8 years away, is as far as you can think. We don't know who is going to be there to talk to you and explain to you what actually happened in 2030. Hopefully, somebody will record this and play it and see whether it's true or not. And if you're able to get 45-50% of what we discussed today come true, that will be a fantastic achievement. We are living now in the digital world, and the digital world is leading to the metaverse. Metaverse is a world where we move from reality to virtual reality simultaneously. That means we are going to create a virtual reality or simulation of cities, of towns, of businesses, of avatars and everything else. And we will live in the real world, and we'll move between the two in the blink of an eyelid. And for most people who work in the metaverse or live in the metaverse, it means that it will be almost seamless. So you will not know whether you are living in the physical world or the metaverse. And that implies digitization, use of artificial intelligence, use of machine learning, use of robotics, use of humanoids, and use of such technologies to a very great degree. So when that happens, the way of doing business, the way of doing things will change dramatically. And the global supply chain will move to the back end from being a very determinant force, which is helping competition win in the current era. The next will be in very many areas for interaction, there'll be change. By 2030, 60% of vehicles on the road will be electric vehicles. The ICE engine market is what, $2 trillion with 90 million four-wheelers being sold. And out of which maybe by 2030, 60% could be new vehicles being sold that year. Of course, the ICE engine is not going to disappear because there's a huge stock of ICE engines. But when you are in a very different world, you will have autonomous vehicles coming. Then will you own a vehicle? Will you own a car? There'll be vehicles available to you on an app. You get into the vehicle and you can travel to wherever. It will drop you off without a driver and you don't have to own it. In the United States, 10% of real estate is taken up for parking. Accidents will be limited because they're autonomous, they'll use radar, they'll drive safely. Insurance will come down. Fuel and gas and fuel usage will come down. There'll be possibly green power being used to a great degree. So you'll have homes with solar panels on the roof, which will be stored in a battery made of fuel cells or hydrogen or whatever it is. And that will be used to charge your car or anything else that you may need. So you could be off the grid. And if electric vehicles come, the number of total vehicles on the road could come down because research proves the vehicles are used only 10% of the time, and most of the time they're spent in parking. I'm sure you know about that. So people may not own it. The industry may shrink, and there could be a lot of vehicles which can live on for 500,000, 1 million kilometers. because right now you have to replace IC engines of more than 200 or 250,000 kilometers. The entire industry will get disrupted. The healthcare industry will get disrupted because we're coming to the era of genomics. People will live longer, less babies will be born, the population will age. And I'm told by 2100, the world population, which is supposed to go from 7.8 billion to 11 billion, will be limited to 9 to 9.5 billion. Already you're seeing large parts of the world have fertility level below replacement. Lesser babies are being born, including India. India's fertility is 2.0. The south of India's fertility is 1.7. Replacement for India is still 2.3. So we could have an aging population and people living longer. And for them, there'll be digital medicine based on genomics. That means your DNA will be taken and medicine will be re-engineered to meet your DNA. I'm told that 30% of all medicine is not fit for people because there are mutations in the body and they cannot use that particular medicine. So we'll have this. There'll be stem cell research to grow body organs. There'll be rejuvenation programs to grow everything. So when you grow to 70, 80, your body organs may be regenerated because they're going to pump you full of stem cells. And so many things else. You could have chips in your mind. So the world of medicine is going to change. Banking is going to change because, with those apps and newer banks coming, you're going to operate through apps and banks will become utilities. Every time you want money, you'll be set up for auction and banks will bid for your business. Your savings may be dispersed among various ETFs, products like that. And you could have Bitcoins or electronic coins or whatever. So it's going to be a very exciting time and it's going to be much more complex. There'll be greater velocity in the use of money. And banking will also fundamentally change because there's a very big industry. And then the travel industry will change in a very dramatic manner. And travel will change primarily because there'll be simulation. You don't have to travel to meet people for business. You don't have to travel to go see various places. You can see it on the web. Maybe you travel, but you'll travel in autonomous cars. You'll stay in places which are not run by people. You'll have robots serving you in hotels and restaurants. And then if you look at other industries like possibly commodities or the metal industry, we are seeing innovation where the molecular structure of metals is being deconstructed and decomposed so that new materials and new ways of doing stuff may come into being. It may mean that we're using less of aluminum, less of iron, less of everything else, and we'll have alternate materials will be as strong. So the weight of a car may actually come down because it may not use the kind of aluminum that is using today, and the weight of a train may come down, and the usage of metal may also come down, and that is a very big industry by itself. We could have intersolar travel like Musk is trying to do. So you could go to Mars, you could go to the moon, and you could go somewhere else. We could have planes flying at Mach 2 or Mach 3, 2 or 3 times the speed of sound. So you could go things faster. And we could come into the sharing economy where people will not own assets, but will share the asset and use the asset. And all the assets will be in the balance sheet of big insurance companies, which could own them and give it out to you for rental so that you can change your house, you can change your residence and everything else. But all the various industries that you have today, which are very large industries. For example, the oil and gas industry is a $5 trillion industry. That may shrink for a period of time. Income in the Middle East may come down. Then the auto industry is a $2 trillion industry. The banking industry could be a $10 trillion industry. And the food industry could be a $20, $30 trillion industry. So all this kind of various industries could actually shrink, could actually go somewhere else. But then how do you pay for all that? What are the jobs that are going to come? Well, my view is 60% of our activity will be automated. It will not happen in India because it will take more time. We're a large population. We're developing. We still need to build houses, roads, bridges. We still need to do many things. But in developed countries like the United States and other areas, which are rich and old with a lot of money, automation has come already very fast. In the last 15 years, maybe 15, 16 million middle-class jobs have disappeared in the US. So, jobs are going to be a constraint. That means the rich middle-class jobs, which are rule-based, can be done by machines, will be done by software, will be done by AI. Machines will be trained to do that. In the manufacturing space, robotics will come into being. So much of the jobs that we have will disappear. So in my view, there'll be 3 kinds of jobs. The first kind of job will be the unique creative jobs, which is difficult to automate, though it may happen. For example, musicians, dancers, writers, singers, etc. Creators of graphic design, comics and filmmakers and all that. because it's not worth automating all that because it's very creative. Even though people are trying to use robotics and a robo and AI to write novels and all that, it may not be very exciting. It may take too much of time, but it could also happen. Those kind of jobs will be more and will proliferate, but the payment that you get may be less. Maybe there'll be a lot more comics, a lot more entertainment for you. And that job will be a limited number of jobs. The second kind of jobs will be jobs in high tech. And high tech means people who write algorithm, people who write software, people who are able to write mathematical formula, people who use it to, you're in genomics, people who are in deep healthcare, people who are expert doctors, etc. Because these are all specialists that will happen. And the third largest number of jobs will be jobs for people who take care of other people. Geriatrics is going to be a big area. Jobs for nurses to take care of older people who will use technology, but not everybody can use technology. Service sector jobs like entertainment, like restaurants and hotels where people may still go. And those kind of jobs where, will be a plenty. And those jobs are not going to pay very well. So definitely, you have to choose between the three to see where you are going to be. And in the developed world, if jobs shrink, how will people live? Now, people are coming out with a very interesting strategy, and the strategy is very simple. What they want to do essentially is to make sure that every robo is taken as an employee and tax is charged on every robo. If a robo has an output of 20 lakhs, that will be taken as an income, and he has to pay tax like an ordinary individual like you and I do. And that tax can be allocated to somebody else. That means every adult could have a robo working somewhere, and the robo, whatever earning is there, possibly goes to you, and you pay the tax on that. You'll be linked to that. People are thinking of various ways to do that. Is it going to happen by 2030? I don't know, but people are definitely talking and thinking of taxing all this automation and robots so that if people can actually live. Now, for us to succeed in this new world, so you need to have a curious bent of mind. Curiosity is very important because curiosity leads to innovation, curiosity leads to learning, curiosity leads to knowledge accumulation. And if you have a curiosity and you read and you're able to imbibe, you're able to use technology, definitely you'll be able to do many, many jobs, and definitely there'll be scope for you. You may not have a full-time job, but you'll be part of the gig workforce who will work as a specialist or work for groups. There'll be loose groups working all over the place. Second is, you need to have a problem-solving attitude. Because today, if you're a problem solver, you can run a business or own a business. Because if you're a problem solver, you're always at the top of the food chain because you're solving problems. Next, if you have coding skills, you'll have a great chance of success because more and more work will be done by software. And at least for the next 10, 15 years, I don't think you'll have automated code writing. Even if it's automated code writing, it'll take many times to mature and to come up. A lot of code has to be written and rewritten. Part of it may be automated, but still human beings will be required. And since the income differentiation between the developed countries and countries like India is still very large and will remain large for the foreseeable future, there'll be great scope if you learn coding. So I would advise every young person to learn reading, writing, mathematics, and coding. So if you learn coding, you can be sure that you have a better chance of getting work. And that I think is very important. Next, you need good communication skills. If you have a good persona, good communication skills, that will allow you to compete against yourself because you have to express yourself, you have to convince yourself, your body language has to be positive. Lastly, you must build a network. We should all be part of networks because the networks are going to be important. Networks connect with each other and give us opportunities. Networks tell us what is happening somewhere else. Networks allow us access to knowledge. Networks allow us access to economic opportunities. And all these qualities are required. And I think that is something that all of us have to imbibe, and especially young people who are coming to the workforce. So I want to end my keynote by just saying that 2030, the world will be very different from whatever we can see now. It will have more automation, more robotics, more artificial intelligence, and more digital. It will be in the interconnected world. The metaverse is going to be a reality. Virtual reality and reality are going to be merged. Many industries which are there today will be very changed, and they're already changing at the edge. If you look at each industry at the edge, there's change. On the base, change will come over a period of time. So all industries are going to change. Interaction with people is going to be very different. Society is going to age with lesser number of children being born, and people are going to live longer. New areas of medicine and healthcare will come into being in the top 25, 30%. If you do that, I'm sure we'll succeed. But in any case, life is going to be exciting and life is going to change. And I think, we'll wait and see what the change is. Thank you very much for the opportunity and wish you all the best.